Okay, first of all, questions. If you have questions, John Eisen, who's over there holding up the questions, give it to him or to Matt Epstein, and we'll get them answered. Let's call up LAPD, because they're able to create some decorum here and keep everyone under control, so to speak. Ron Carter, who's our senior lead, is off today. He's preparing for his retirement in March. We have a couple people from the LAPD. Officer Larson can give us an update and introduce the other officer.
Thank you, Richard. I will keep it real close and I'll try to keep it short. Can everybody hear me in the back there? No? Well, then I'll speak. They can't hear anyway, Richard said. Just joking, Richard. You know what? I'm Officer John Larson. I'm actually filling in for Ron Carter, who's on vacation, and he is soon to retire in March. So, you know, give him his well wishes these next few months, because he's one of those great officers that are hard to come by and one that will be definitely hard to replace. Tonight, we just wanted to, as we're getting into the holiday season, we just wanted to come in, put a name with a face, and we want to just remind you of some certain things that are happening in the holiday season, and we wanted to make you guys aware of them, and so hopefully you won't become victims. My counterpart here, I have Detective Steve Krause, is going to come up here behind me, right here, and he's going to share a few words. He's our main man of the burglary department, the main detective up there. So if you have some difficult questions, ask him, not me. Okay, a couple things we wanted to touch bases on is right now, our new campaign, not new, but we've been doing it over the past year, is the Lock It, Hide It, Keep It campaign. That is to try and prevent you becoming a victim of a burglary or auto theft. Make sure, please, when you guys are parking your cars, shopping at the malls, if you have valuables in your car, if you can at all possible, leave them at your house. But if not, make sure that you lock them away in your trunk or out of sight. We have a lot of opportunists that are criminals out there that are trying to make a quick buck. They see something in your car, they take it. I don't know if he's here tonight, but last week, Josh Rubenstein, he's been working on a television broadcast in this regards. He was working in the North Hollywood division. They were in a mall over there in North Hollywood. He, just to make a short story, is they went in, they saw this car that's parked in the parking lot, had a computer bag on the floor in the car. They saw that, well, that's an easy target for the victim. They see that bag there. They could slap that window, break that window, grab that bag, and they're out of there in a matter of seconds. As they're doing that, the owner of the car walks out and sees them standing around the car and asks what they were doing. And they try to inform her about this computer bag in the car with the possible computer. She says, you know what, it's not a problem because there's no computer in it. Well, you just spent how many thousands of dollars to replace that window because there was no computer in that bag. Keep that in mind, folks. We're there to help you, but we can't be there everywhere. But right now, property crime is up because people are out there looking for easy victims. And these are the people that they prey on, sitting out here in the audience. So we just wanted to make you aware of that. I have a couple flyers over there on the table. That's the Lock It, Hide It, Keep It campaign. Also tomorrow night, our Van Nuys auto detectives are doing it's like an auto theft seminar. Just make you aware, that's at the church on the way on Sherman Way in Tyrone. If you're interested, that's at 7 o'clock tomorrow. There's flyers over there as well. If you have any questions, if you want to talk to me on the side after this, I'll be more than happy to help you. If not, Richard has my email, my phone number. Feel free to call me, email me. Officer Carter will be back next week and he can answer those questions there. I want to introduce Detective Steve Krause, who has some insight on some of the stuff that's happening south of the Lord.
Good evening. Again, my name is Steve Krause. I'm the detective in charge here at Van Nuys, which covers your guys' area for burglaries, be it residential or commercial. Going to talk a couple things about what's currently going on with burglaries in your area, and then I'll get into some holiday stuff real quick. First off, how many people here live south of the boulevard. Okay, about half of you. Right now, that is our biggest problem that we're dealing with, and it's not just in Van Nuys, it's pretty much valley-wide. North Hollywood, their area, Topanga, West Valley are still experiencing problems south of the boulevard up in the hills. We are, for Van Nuys right now, for 6 years in a row, our crime for burglaries, property crimes have been down. This year, right now as we speak, we're actually above where we should be. And we're having a tough time fighting it right now. So for you people in this area that live on this side, crime is up and we got to be aware. But I want to go over a couple of scenarios that have happened recently on some of our burglaries. On one of the burglaries of somebody who lives on Valley Vista, they actually left their house keys in the door. You laugh, but it actually happened, and it made it easy for the suspects. They went in, basically, and ransacked their entire house, and they had a very bad loss on that one. On another one today, we have units right now that are working Valley Vista and the hills. They're driving up there. We have some undercover units up there. And today, 2 officers drove by a house on Valley Vista. Their front door was wide open. So they thought maybe they were the victim of a burglary. They went in, called for another unit. They came out, looked at the house. No burglary. The homeowner drove home, came home while they were there and says, "Oh my gosh, I left my door open." These are things that are happening. You cannot do that. You guys have to work with us. This is community with the police. And part of the responsibility is for you guys, please, lock your doors, close your windows. I know in the valley, even though we're getting close to winter, you know, we're still having some heat, people leave their windows open. They make it easy. One of the other things, a lot of people in the hills are leaving your garages open. I go in the hills every day. I see somebody here already saying something about that. It is crucial, close your garages during the day when you get home or at night. It's giving them insight to what the inside of your garage is, what property you have in there, and then most houses in the hills have an attached garage, so it makes access into your home from the garage direct. So please, close your garages. A lot of you are leaving them open. Businesses, are there business owners here today that have businesses on this side of town? Yeah, they do. A couple of them. Okay, right now, Riverside and Ventura Boulevard, we're having some issues with burglaries at night. We've had some pharmacies hit and some medical offices and a couple of small restaurants. So be aware, make sure you guys if you have video, that's a big help. But just be aware right now on those 2 boulevards right now. We know about it and we are working that. Lastly, alarms and things such as that. We just had a couple last week on Van Nuys Boulevard, right near Valley Vista. When we got to the scene, they were the victim of a burglary. I asked them, I go, "Do you have an alarm?" She said yes. She did not place it on that day. They got burglarized, and that was a very large hit for that family, over $150,000. Again, if you have an alarm, set your alarm. It doesn't do you any good not to set it if you have it. So make sure you do that. The holidays are coming up. A couple of things. This is going to sound kind of odd, but for those of you that put the big Christmas tree in your window, in your bay windows, and you open the windows, if you place a bunch of wrapped gifts under there, again, and you leave your windows open during the day, these criminals they're smart. They're going to look at that, see, hey, here's a house full of stuff right now, and if you're not home, it's going to be a target. Either do not place the gifts under there until you're getting ready to open them up, or put them somewhere else. I suggest not leaving them right in the open of the window. We all do it, I do it, but see if you can avoid that. Shopping malls. The malls are going to be crowded. For people that are getting up there in age, and this happens, and I'm one of them, what we call pickpockets. This is the time of year when you're in the mall, you're going to get bumped. Somebody will bump into you, say, "Excuse me," especially for the ladies. The next thing you know, you go to buy something and your wallet's not in your purse, because when you got bumped, they took your wallet. Okay, please, if anybody bumps you while you're walking in the mall during the holiday season here, stop and immediately check your purse, or for males, your coat or the back of your pants. Make sure you still have your wallet. It sounds minor, it happens. And the next thing you know, you're out your credit cards and they're being used all over the place. Okay, one last thing. And then last thing, for getting befriended. Right now, we also have distraction burglaries where they come up and befriend you. The DWP scam, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about. If you're putting up lights, or if you're out gardening and somebody comes up and befriends you and they say they're from DWP, make sure they have ID on them. Some of them wear fake caps and stuff. If you did not ask for a DWP to come to your home, they should not be there. Okay, so do not let these people into your backyard and talk to you about tree trimming and things like that. Other than that, that's really all I've got. If anybody's got any real quick question, you can ask it, or if not, that'll be that.
Thank you very much. Okay, John Eisen, Bob Anderson.
Every year we have elections for the board of directors of SOHA. If anybody's interested in this high-paying position, please see me after the meeting. I have one other thing. Was anybody at the run at Van Nuys Sherman Oaks Park last month for the Notre Dame High School student who was run over a couple years ago? Was anyone there at the park? Okay, one person. In October, Zev Yaroslavsky was here, and he told us that that he would be running, and he actually kept his promise. He was out there, and I asked him after the meeting how fast was he going to run, and he said, well, 8-minute miles. Well, I want to report that he was true to his word, and I also want to say, which not many people can say, I ran against Zev Yaroslavsky last month, and I beat him.
Bob Anderson, update.
We've been saving that for like a month.
And join the board of directors. It's good. You can get great jobs like sitting at the desk and meeting everybody when they come in. It's fun. I'm the chair of the Helicopter Noise Committee, and as you all know by now, Congressman Berman was sponsoring legislation on helicopter noise and working with us very closely. His office told me today that Congressman Schiff of the Burbank-Glendale area is going to continue that support for us. And that's great because we've now set up a community advisory committee, about 12 people. We're going to meet with the FAA in early December and voice our concerns and spend several hours with them. So if you have any helicopter noise problems, please let me know about them. My email is in the newsletter all the time. It's bobhillsideordinance@roadrunner.com. And you can send me any problems that you have with helicopter noise, and I'll make sure the FAA hears about it nice and loudly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John Marshall. And also, any deputies that are here that come on up and will introduce you. Alice Roth, we'll start with Marshall, give an update on development projects in Sherman Oaks.
Yes, just quickly, we had a great toy drive, or sorry, great fair, and it was particularly useful because Councilman Lavange came by and said that he was going to fight the IVT project, so we hope that he sticks with that statement. Also, we were approached by, sorry, I got a cold. Eric Lieberman, who is working on a project in Van Nuys by Magnolia Boulevard. I have a copy of the plans if anybody wants to look at it. 7 single-family homes and 30 apartments. It looks like a reasonable project. It's following the zoning, and so we don't have a problem with it. But anybody who wants to look at it, just see me there.
Okay, thank you. Alice Roth. Okay, there, as you all know, Councilman Lavange is our new council person. And we have a person dedicated to solving every problem that you have in Sherman Oaks. A person who's hoping that you will call her because she wants to show that she's the best field deputy that Sherman Oaks has ever seen. She's taken over with Suzanne Miller, and I'd like to introduce Alice Roth, a person you're going to see at every meeting. Is that correct? Every meeting in the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association, and she will return your call within a short period of time, that's what she said. Alice, tell us a little about yourself and how we can contact you if we have any problem insuring those.
Thank you, Richard. My name is Alice Roth, and I've been in the office with Councilmember Tom LaVanche for over 10 years. Wow. Can you hear me? Everyone hear me? Okay, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you at some point in the next 2.5 years that we have left in office. So I just wanted to come by, introduce myself, and if you have any issues with the city, which I'm sure many of you have, we have a city budget issue right now, but I'm going to do the best I can to try to help you out with whatever you may need, whether it be tree trimming, water and power, street services, potholes, you name it. I'm here to help, and I love my job. I've loved it for 10 years, and I'm going to continue doing the best that I can for everyone in our district and anyone who has any issues. I put myself in your shoes all the time, thinking, okay, if this were me, would I want to wait this long? Would I want, service right away? So I try to help as quickly as I can. A lot of times the agencies are a little backlogged and low on personnel, but we try to do what we can to help in those instances. I brought by family disaster supply checklist. I put them on the table for your pet. Free pens and Griffith Park maps for all of you. So I hope you can join us with any hikes that we have in the future. I think we're going to have one at the end of the year, but I'll let you know when I come to your next meeting. You're dark in December, right?
Dark in December, and then we have a little meeting in January with the candidates for mayor.
Oh, okay. That'll be a big one. So I'll send the information to
Okay,
Richard, and you'll get it.
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Any other deputies that want to introduce themselves?
Thank you so much.
I saw Sean Bayless. Okay. One other thing before, have a seat. There is no December meeting and no December newsletter. So the next event is the Holiday Troy Drive on December 2nd, Sunday, between 11 and 2 at Gelson's. And then the third Wednesday in January, the candidates for mayor confirmed as of this point are Wendy Gruhl, Eric Arsetti, and Jan Perry. So, with that, I'd like to introduce or bring up John Eisen, who is going to be the moderator. And both of these gentlemen that are running are friends of the association. Both of them have spent a lot of time in this room over the years, meeting with everyone. So much like the Sherman-Berman race, it's difficult for us because we consider both of these individuals friends. Now, there are other candidates. We will be doing a debate in the future with additional candidates. And with that, I'd like to I have a coin to determine who goes first. Which one should call. And the person who wins the toss, we've had this problem before, technicality. The winner of the toss selects whether they want to go first or second. If they go first at the beginning, then they go second at the close. And so, heads or tails? What do you want to defer?
Take heads.
Okay. What is it? It is heads.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll defer.
I'll give you a little second. Before we start, Matt has the tow truck is on its way. Okay.
There's somebody who has a black Ford Escape who's got a media permit on. Somebody that you need to move it to the back parking lot. You need to move it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, John.
Tonight, the format is as follows. We're going to have an opening statements, number one. Number two, each candidate is going to pose 2 questions to the other. if they want. Number 3, we're going to have questions and answers, questions from the audience, and the candidates will answer those questions. 4th, we're going to have closing statements by the candidates. And 5th, as we say all the time, the most important time of all, is both candidates will stay here indefinitely tonight. Right. We'll camp out here and answer every question you have individually for them. So that's the 5th and the last phase of this debate. So,
okay, before we begin, the candidates, Bob Anderson is the timer, and he has a 15-second sign indicating 15 seconds left and a stop, and then a legend finish the sentence, so the the thought if it's real, and then the mic will.
And then the mic's going to cut out.
So because we have 2 attorneys up here. We know attorneys like to talk a lot.
Actually, there are 4 attorneys up here.
That's what before. And we like to talk a lot. And 2 of them are elected officials. So that said, we're going to try to move it along. Okay, John?
Opening statement then. Mr. Fuhrer.
Good. Thank you very much. It's really nice to be here in Sherman Oaks, where in many ways I started my public service career. We know each other very much like family, as I was going around saying hello to everybody. And for almost 20 years, off and on, we've been solving problems together. And that's why I'm running to be the city attorney, to be the problem solver in chief for the city of Los Angeles, to tackle our most significant challenges, gangs and guns, protecting our neighborhoods, making sure that kids have safe passages to school and are safe when they get there, economic development, jobs, bringing revenue into the city, risk management, making sure that we're not paying out money in lawsuits, which we should be devoting to police officers and paving our streets. It's the kind of leadership that I've provided for many years. I think we all know that I was the director of Benstetic Legal Services, the House of Justice, for 8 years. 50,000 people came to us with problems very much like those the city attorney should handle. People being ripped off in consumer fraud scams, or losing their health care, or being abused in a nursing home. And we won almost every time. I started programs to help victims of the Northridge earthquake and small businesses that were clobbered in the riots. And the legal newspaper, the Daily Journal, said that I was one of the 100 most influential attorneys in California. And so I made Benstetic a national success story. Took that same leadership to the city council, where I fought against key interests, writing most of the toughest gun laws in Los Angeles. At the same time, I created the 311 system to make our non-emergency system work better and make 911 work again. I was a leader on ethics reform on the city council and created programs and supported them to keep kids out of gangs and on the right path. And then, as a member of the state legislature, again, I've been focused on our key problems, focusing on making sure that kids, even sick kids with pre-existing conditions, have health care, attacking the foreclosure crisis by being an author of the Homeowners Bill of Rights, making sure that drunk drivers have ignition interlocks placed on their cars so the car won't start unless they're sober. This is the page I want to bring to the city attorney's office.
Thank you.
Tell me when you're ready. What? Good evening. I want to thank Richard, the board, the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming tonight. I'm here as a guy who misses Alan Buckridge, and I was looking forward to seeing Pete tonight. And it's going to be difficult coming here. There he is, Pete. Nice to see you. It's just it's a great night to be here and to discuss the issues involving the city. We've had a lot of accomplishments in the city attorney's office, tremendous accomplishments. But my first and greatest accomplishment is here with me tonight. That's my wife, 35 years, Noreen. My son, Nicholas, is here as an assistant United States attorney and works in the National Security Division, came back from Iraq as a prosecutor for a terrorist. My daughter, Kristen, who's a deputy DA. My daughter, Kimberly, who is a special education teacher down in San Diego, who teaches the most severely handicapped and challenged children. And my daughter, Caitlin, who is in Thailand right now teaching English in Project America. And that's my number one accomplishment. Number one. One boy, 3 girls. So I know boyfriends. We've had a lot of success in the city attorney's office. Tremendous amount of success. Saved the city $235 million in civil verdicts. Crime has been down every single year I've been in office because we're taking care of broken windows. We have done more with less. Our budget's been cut, as you know, by almost 30% over the last 4 years, and we've balanced our budget. We're the only department in the city who has balanced our budget. In over 3 years, we've lost over 125 or so lawyers, and guess what? We haven't done anything less than we did before. In fact, we've done more. You're safer today than you were 4 years ago. Can you say the same thing about the state?
Thank you.
Now is the opportunity for the candidates to ask questions of each other. So we'll start with Mr. Fuhrer. You have a question for Mr. Jutanich.
Thank you. So, Mr. Jutanich, you and I have starkly different approaches to leadership. As city attorney, you earn $500-something thousand a year. At the same time, the lion's share of the deputy city attorneys in your office are on furloughs. 34 days a year of unpaid work, effectively a 13% pay cut. I think that leaders need to stand with their troops. So I said that I will take a pay cut equal to the deepest pay cut of any deputy city attorney in the office. I hate the furloughs, but if they're going to be there, we need to do it together. You said that was a stunt, but it's not a stunt. It's a statement of who we are as leaders. Do we share the sacrifice of our teams? Why won't you share the sacrifice of your deputy city attorneys when doing so would still leave you as the second highest paid elected official in the city of Los Angeles?
Thank you.
Look at Dan. Okay, thank you. You know, my office is about doing real work. I go to work every day and try to make this city safer. Our prosecutors do that. And unfortunately, myself and my chief deputy are probably the only person not represented by a union in that office. And our prosecutors are represented by a union. Their union has made a deal with the city CEO and the mayor. They get told, and I don't agree with that. Okay, I'm sorry, and I don't agree with that. Can you hear me now? Okay, and I don't agree with that. The bottom line is this. When we go to work to save the city money. I saved the city $235 million, winning 116 out of 134 favorable verdicts in civil trials. We made the city safer over the last 4 years. We filed about 50,000 misdemeanor cases in the city. Crime is down. It's down to the safest level since 1952. I earned my pay, Mike, and you can take the pay cut because if you took a pay cut, you'd still be getting a raise when you came to the city attorney's office. At the end of the day, my wife, and I'll tell you right now, they're trying to cut pensions right now. My wife worked for United Airlines for 30 years. 30 years. And United Airlines declared bankruptcy and her pension got wiped away. Her pension was wiped away. We live, my family, my 4 children, we live on my salary. We're not a rich family. We live on our salary. You have a wife that works, and she's a great judge. I know because I talk to people down in the metro. And she makes as much as some of the lawyers in our office. When you add your paychecks together, you got 2 state salaries within your household. Look, at the end of the day, no more political gimmicks. Let's do the right thing for the people. Let's work hard. Let's put our minds to solving the problems. Let's go after the insurance companies and the slumlords and people in the city that we've been doing for the last 4 years. It's time to take the gains out of this race and talk about the real issues in the race. It's not thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Jutanich, a question for Mr. Fuhrer.
Talk about public safety, Mike. You led the fight for AB 109. That misguided law realignment that released 40,000 felons to the streets of the state of California from state prison to balance our budget on the backs of public safety. So far, 16 those AB 109 felons that were released by your Judiciary Committee have committed murders in the city and the county of Los Angeles. 9 murders were committed in Fresno. And I can't remember all the other little cities along the way in California where these releasees have committed murders. What have you to say to the victims and families about how you would balance the budget of the state on the backs of the public safety of the citizens you were sworn to protect?
First, Mr. Jutanich, you are either woefully misinformed or you are purposely trying to mislead the people of this community in Sherman Oaks. Because you should know that not a single felon was released from prison because of realignment. Not one. You also know that had we not realigned the incarceration of non-violent, non-sexual offenders, the court would have required us to do what you are arguing we did. It would have required us to release 40,000 people, but we didn't do it, and you either should know it or you don't. Second, what you are observing here tonight is one of the most politically opportunistic strategies I have ever seen. Because Mr. Jutanich was for realignment when it was politically expedient for him. When he wanted Governor Brown's endorsement in his failed race for district attorney, he said realignment was an opportunity. When he wanted the LA Times endorsement, he wrote, "We need to stop the revolving door of incarceration. We should be devoting our money to education and not to prisons." That was then, when he was for realignment. Now, a few months later, when it's politically convenient, he's against realignment. And let's be real about the consequences of realignment. Before realignment, people on parole were failing to report to their parole agent 15% of the time. After realignment, formerly incarcerated people are reporting their probation officers almost 95% of the time. Before realignment, the state had no money to educate prisoners, and as a consequence, it was a revolving door. After realignment, they just hired 100 teachers to prevent felons from leaving the prison and going to the street and recidivating, recommitting crimes. And the last thing I'll say, here in Los Angeles, before realignment, people were serving jail time here in our county jail. After realignment, they're serving at least the same amount of time.
Thank you.
All right, now it's the opportunity for the second question. Mr. Fear and Mr. Jutanich.
Thanks very much. So, Mr. Jutanich, on your website and in previous events, you've passed out this document. This document, which we modified a little bit for today, but is still reflected on your website, says that you have an 86% success rate in civil verdicts. I think we're all tired of Wall Street math. I think you'd be surprised to know that in this 86% success rate statistic are cases Mr. Jutanich lost. And here's what he'll say. He says, yeah, because the settlement we could have gotten before trial was not as good as the jury verdict against the city he represents after the trial. But that just says he wasn't a good enough negotiator before trial. Second, he points out outside legal counsel costs are reduced on this document. What he doesn't point out,
you only have 8 seconds. What's your question?
But he doesn't point out that his outside counsel costs are $3.7 million above budget.
Is there a question?
There is.
answer that.
I will succinctly state a question.
Go ahead and respond.
Yeah, the mic is on. I'll succinctly state a question.
No, it's Carmen's turn.
First off, as there's a judge in the room, and the judge will tell you that when you get to the time when you employ a jury, both sides make offers, and when the offers are rejected, you have to go to trial. We evaluate what a case is worth. Every single case is tried in front of me in the office, and I give a range of what I think the settlement is worth on those cases. And our guys aren't authorized, as the judge probably knows, we've negotiated cases in front of him. We work within a range. At that point, if we can't settle it, we go to trial because they're asking too much. They're greedy. They're asking too much, and we go to trial. And if we get beat what they ask, that's a favorable verdict. Because if we would have settled it, we would have settled it for more. So we'll take that $1 million and add it to the total. We defended the Perez case where the baby was held up over its head. We've taken a tack of this is our tack, the porcupine defense. You may eat me, but I'm not going to taste good going down. You may win, but you're not going to get what you're going to have to invest in your own case, and you may lose. And the judge knows that. He's been in the courtroom with us. In terms of our budget for outside counsel, Mike's talking about this year. Rocky's last year, $25 million citywide. We've cut that to 12.5. Last year, we cut it to 8.5. This year, we asked for $4 million. We're pretty good on budget, guys. We're pretty good on budget. You know why we're good on budget? Because we've balanced every single year. Nothing the state hasn't done in this whole time Mike was there. We've balanced our budget. And I'll tell you this, we asked for $4 million because we knew that outside counsel was going to spike because our lawyers were going this way in terms of numbers. We had to have coverage. So we asked for 4. What did they do? They gave us 3 and they told us to come back. They told us to come back if we needed more. Yeah, we did. We came back and they gave us $285,000 more for this year. But we're still under the $7 million on general funded lawyers that were spent the year before. We're talking about $3 and $4 million.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Real simple, Mike. How many jury trials have you done in your career as a lawyer? Because this is a office of lawyers, trial lawyers. That's what we do. We defend the Treasury and we defend the folks in this room. And when I meet with those guys, I can look them in the eye and they know I am a trial lawyer. I've tried everything from a prostitution case to a death penalty case, from a cost recovery circle case in federal court to a small claims case in civil liability court. I've tried administrative trials. I've tried cases I can't remember anymore. Jury trials. Mike, how many jury trials have you led in your career?
Thanks for the question.
And also, what
it's
time
ironic.
and place?
It's ironic that Mr. Jutanich would ask this question the week after, in an unprecedented move, 15 of the presidents of the LA County Bar Association, the lawyers who lead the lawyers, stood together to endorse me. Now, Mr. Jutanich knows that I have had an extensive career in the courtroom and leading lawyers. I mentioned earlier at Medcetic Legal Services, I was named one of California's 100 most influential attorneys. Mr. Jutanich knows that I led 50,000 cases when I ran Medcetic. He also knows that in private practice, I have had a key role in some of the most important cases in the state. I won the Education Advocacy Award when I had a key role in resolving Williams against California, the most important education case in California. And before the Supreme Court, represented bar associations and public interest organizations in equal rights case. I've been an integral role in the case that established that Californians are entitled to have control over their own medical treatment and have a strong public safety record, which is why Bill Bratton, Chief of Police, endorses me, which is why John Vandekamp, former Attorney General and DA, endorses me, which is why the Brady Campaign Against Gun Violence stands with me, and more. This job, of course, entails many things. It entails the litigation skills I just presented, but more than that. You have to know how to write laws for the city. Just a few days ago, the city council and the mayor both sought to cut back on Mr. Jutanich's power because he wasn't getting a critical job done. In this time when revenue is down, Mr. Jutanich failed to produce ordinances, sometimes within a year, that would have produced money for the city. Leading city officials would be so frustrated they wanted to spend your money hiring lawyers that his office should have been doing the job with instead. This is a job for leaders.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
The next segment is going to be questions from the audience. And each of you will have 1 minute to answer. I know it's difficult to answer in 1 minute, but we'll try. You can go back and forth if need be a little bit. The first question has to do, we'll start with Mr. Jutanich, as far as performance audits of the city controller. First, does the city controller have authority to perform performance audits? And secondly, would you voluntarily submit to performance audits from the city attorney? I'm sorry, from the city controller?
We did. In fact, we did. In fact, on the very first day in office, as I was walking to get sworn in, I walked by Wendy Gruhl. And I said, I'll see you tomorrow in my office to start your audit. And in fact, we started an audit, we had an audit by Wendy Gruhl. Now, the only reason that that case got appealed, and by the way, that the case was lost and won when Rocky and Laura Chick fought each other. Rocky Dougherty and Laura Chick fought each other over the issue of whether or not you can have an audit. They tried that case before I took office. Rocky won, Laura lost. Laura appealed that case. I was going to dismiss it, except she wanted to charge the city if I dismissed it with $200,000 in legal fees. And I'm going, no, I'm not going to dismiss the case and charge the city with $200,000 in legal fees. So the case got appealed. And this is a quote from the appellate court in that case. This is a quote, I'll read it to you. On his first day in office, Mr. Trutanich had reversed the position of the former city attorney and invited the controller to conduct the audit.
He remained true to his word.
Okay.
He remained true to his word.
Question about if a city attorney, would you submit to performance audits by the city controller?
Yes. And let's go beyond to focus on the real issues here. We all know Laura Chick. Laura Chick endorses me in this race. Laura Chick referred to Mr. Trutanich as a demagogue and a liar over this issue. Her words, not mine. Now, with regard to an audit, just a few days ago, in the wake of the city council and the mayor calling for a dramatic cut in Mr. Trutanich's power because they weren't getting the work done by the city attorney that they had every right to expect, I called for there to be an audit of the city attorney's finances. Because it was really important for us in an era of scarce resources to know how he's allocating his resources. We know this, for example. He told the Sherman Oaks Patch he has 20 lawyers on medical marijuana cases. He only has 7 neighborhood prosecutors and 14 people from the whole city on gangs. Medical marijuana, gangs, plus neighborhood prosecutors put together. Same priority. That's wrong.
Thank you. John, how many
I don't know where he's getting these numbers, but we have more neighborhood prosecutors now than we had under Rocky. What we did, and we've got 147 lawyers less than we did under Rocky. What we did was to consolidated our gang unit and our Safe Neighborhoods Division and our neighborhood prosecutors together, and now we have almost 71 people in that unit right now. In terms of I forget what was the other issue that he brought up here. What's that? The controller's audit. Today we asked for a citywide ballot measure to be put on the ballot to say that every single office holder in the city should be audited. The controller's audit, no wonder Laura Chick endorsed him. I'll tell you why, because it cost her $200,000 because I wouldn't spend your money. That's why. The same reason 650 trial lawyers gave him the donations, because they want to go back to the pay-to-play. We've cut outside counsel. We have not. We have not spent money. We have held on to our budget, and we balanced, folks, and we gave money back to the city at the end.
Thank you.
Mr. Trutanich, pay to play? You have given contracts to donors to your campaigns. Let's talk about pay to play. And let's be real, the Daily News wrote a story about the dramatic cuts that you made in your neighborhood prosecutor program. In that story, your own staff was quoted as saying, look, we have tough budget times, we have to make cuts somewhere. 71 neighborhood prosecutors, there's not a neighborhood prosecutor in your office who believes that.
Thank you. Well, hold on for a second, John. Just let me tell everyone in the audience a little secret. Just a little secret. Both candidates have supporters here. And these supporters will clap at the appropriate time, which is fine. But just remember where the claps are coming from. Thank you. John?
The next series of questions have to do with marijuana. And for each of you, a couple quick questions and a quick answer. First of all, for both of you, did you support Prop 10 on the 2010 ballot in California to legalize marijuana for adults? Yes or no?
No. No.
And secondly, did you support California Proposition 215 in 1996 for medical marijuana?
Yes.
Yes.
The third question
It's like
is...
a lightning round, John. This is
Yes, we're going to do more of that. The next question has to do with the city attorney's role regarding the marijuana dispensaries in the city of Los Angeles. And the question is, what are your policies concerning the existing medical marijuana dispensaries in 1 minute?
Who's first? My policy is this. Cancer patients who are sick deserve to have access to medical marijuana to alleviate their suffering. There are, at the same time, however, too many medical marijuana dispensaries in Los Angeles. They've grown dramatically under Mr. Drutanich's watch. They're not well regulated. Because they have cash and drugs in the same location, sometimes they can be magnets for crime. So what the city of Los Angeles should be doing is having a leader in the city attorney's office who from the outset has tried to strike the right balance. Access to medical marijuana for people in need, while at the same time imposing important public safety restrictions on the dispensaries that actually exist. Now, I think that this is a real wasted opportunity that we can now try to get back, because I supported state legislation that gives the city the authority to regulate the locations, the establishment, and the operations of medical marijuana facilities. But that legislation has not been taken up by the city attorney.
This is a politician who's been AWOL on this issue from the day he was in council. And the Compassionate Use Act passed in 1996. He was on the council. Did we have an ordinance since 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000? No. Went to the assembly. And that's where you can fix this statewide. Did he address the issue? Because there's a conflict. Here we on one hand say, look at compassionate use. We want you to get marijuana because you're ill. But yet, 11.359 of the Health and Safety Code, you know what that is, Mike? 11.359 of the Health and Safety Code says you can't sell marijuana. There is a conflict brightly in the law, and he could have addressed it, and he didn't. The bottom line is, this is a guy who's going to reinvent history as he talks, and he's a great talker, and he's a good guy, but he's just not a city attorney.
John?
The city attorney has had and continues to have the necessary authority to properly regulate and make accessible to sick people medical marijuana. The conflict that Mr. Drutanich cites, by the way, is a conflict between different courts. There are different courts whose opinions are now before the California Supreme Court, which is going to decide what the rules of the game can be in California. But in the meantime, while that case is pending, Mr. Drutanich has all the authority he needs. What did he do with that authority? He went to the council and said, ban all the dispensaries. What does that say to people who are really sick, who need to alleviate their pain? That's a simple answer. It's not the right answer. And being city attorney, by the way, is about, if nothing else, having integrity and expressing good, sound judgment. The good judgment here is strike the right balance, use the authority you have, and don't complain that someone else isn't exercising it. Because, by the way, Mr. Drutanich will come back to this.
Thank you.
You know, the law, the Health and Safety Code, the law says, 11.359A, folks, look it up. You can't sell marijuana. The Compassionate Use Act says you can deliver it in a collective form. We have dispensaries that sell marijuana on the streets here in LA. What law do you follow? If you had a legislature that cared, they would take away that ambiguity and legislate, yes, we can have dispensaries that are regulated by land use. Just today we had a victory on that issue. A court in Los Angeles said that land use now rules apply to medical marijuana shops. And we are now going to be able to regulate them through land use laws. But at the end of the day, we wouldn't have to do this if the legislature would have acted. If what he said over the last 14 years, he would have done something that he recognizes today, we wouldn't be here today talking about it. It'd be a fait accompli.
The next question has to do with the neighborhood prosecutor program. We know that the budget is very difficult. Should this program be expanded, contracted? What should be the status of the program?
Well, you know, the neighborhood prosecutors are not loaves and fishes where you can bless them and they can multiply. When you can lose 150 lawyers and you have no discretion on the civil side, where you have to move lawyers into civil, you've got to make do. We came up with a reserve deputy program to cover our courtrooms, and we began moving 2 units together. We took our gang unit and our safe neighborhoods unit, which were 20 miles apart under my predecessor, moved them together and combined those. DeMar Gallickson's here. She just tried a billboard case as a neighborhood prosecutor. She just won a big billboard victory as a neighborhood prosecutor. At the end of the day, thank you, she deserves it. She did a good job. At the end of the day, we have more neighborhood prosecutors now in numbers, and you know, they're not doing things they did under the other city attorney. They're not going to dance recitals or traffic directing or going to schools. They have a caseload. They have a criminal caseload, and they represent you folks in court to keep you safe.
First, Tamar, congratulations. It's a very nice aw shucks moment for you. Now, let's return to the facts. Mr. Gutanich has 1 neighborhood prosecutor for approximately every 600,000 people in the city of Los Angeles. What that means is this is not a neighborhood prosecutor program anymore. I intend to reinvigorate the program because this has to change. Why? Because neighborhood prosecutors should be in the forefront of enforcing code violations in your neighborhoods. They should be in the forefront of making sure the quality